Hi, my name's Mike Ward. I'm the Global Director of Content at Informa Pharma Intelligence's Insights portfolio. We're here at the Biotech Showcase in San Francisco, where biotech companies, pharmaceutical companies and investors all get to talk to each other to sort of look at new opportunities, raise money, or also maybe do deals. I'm joined by Marty Duvall, who's the CEO of Tocagen. Your company is focused in sort of the brain cancer space.
Yeah.
Now, quite a lot of people have tried to get into brain cancer and have not succeeded. So, could you sort of explain what your approach is?
Yeah, so we have a very differentiated approach and a gene therapy company that's going to deliver novel immunotherapy compounds. So that's all the rage in the oncology space these days. And we have a very interesting delivery of a gene into cancer cells, or selective uptake, and one then takes an oral drug, and it really creates kind of a factory for chemotherapy right in the tumor cell. So what we're seeing is we get a very high efficacy rate, but we don't get the side effects, and then it unleashes an immunotherapeutic response. We're really excited about some of the early results in the differentiated platform.
And where did that science or that technology originate?
So it originated from UCLA and was brought into Tocagen. It had floated around in a couple big pharma companies and never got the focus. But at Tocagen, we're specifically focused on making it work, and our early results are really interesting and compelling.
Right. So yeah, could you sort of give us some indication of why you're confident this is going to work?
Yeah. So I've had the opportunity to build a number of oncology franchises around the world, and I was really drawn to Tocagen by the uniqueness of this technology and the early phase 1 data, and that's what we have. What we're basing this on is phase 1 data in patients that have failed standard of therapy care in the glioma space. And here with the Toca regimen, we are seeing an increase in survival that's twice that of what we've seen with historical drugs. So this is in a phase 1 setting, patients that are heavily pretreated, and we're really excited about the early results.
Right, and that's been published?
That has been published in Science Translational Medicine in June of 2016, and we've done a lot of, it's not your traditional phase 1 trial in that it's multi-centered. We had an independent radiologic review. Immunology data is part of the publication, so it's really quite exciting, and we're moving that into a phase 2 trial, which actually just was fully enrolled last week.
Right, okay, and when do you expect that readout?
So what we, based on the prognosis for these patients in recurrent high-grade glioma, is the area of brain cancer that we're working in. Typically patients would live about 8 months, so we would expect the standard arm, that to be the average. So generally speaking, we'll be following patients for about 12 months. We'll follow them much further than that, but our unveiling of the data would be 12 months after accrual of the final patient. So early 2018 is when we'll have results.
Okay. In terms of sort of commercial partners, I mean, you mentioned that pharmaceutical companies have sort of looked at this space before and walked away from it. When do you think you're going to start trying to engage commercial partners?
So we're getting a lot of, we intend to commercialize ourselves in some geographies. I've only been with the company a couple months, and we're exploring some geographies. It's pretty typical. We're a 60 employee company, so pretty small. Certainly in the United States, we could put together a footprint quite easily to commercialize ourselves. Some geographies like Japan, where the regulatory process is a little bit more nuanced, and one needs to execute clinical trials specific to the Japanese market. We may look to partners there, partners in Europe. So we're early in the process, but based on the data that we generated to date, there are a lot of companies that are interested in working with us.
Right, so you mentioned that you joined the company 2 months ago, so that means that the board must have been looking for a new CEO. What were the sort of the characteristics that you think you have brought to the table that's going to drive the company forward?
Yeah, outstanding question. So the founders of the company, and the prior CEO is still with us, and he's the president of research and development. So the founders got together with the board of directors, and based on the evolution of the company, felt the need to fill a gap. In going from discovery to development to commercialization, the view was that they needed someone who had really commercialized global oncology portfolios. I've had the opportunity to do that at companies like Sanofi Aventis and Merck, most recently at Ariad Pharmaceuticals, and so that complemented and rounded out the entire management team. So we had a discussion about our ambition around the platform, where we could go, and that really made this a great match, and it's been fantastic so far.
So when you get a new leader, there's normally what's going to happen in the first 100 days. So what was your target the first 100 days?
Yeah. So moving to San Diego was one of the first targets. I'm an East Coast guy, but certainly accruing to the current trial was really a big a big focus for us as a company. So we have a global randomized phase 2 trial, and we were kind of nearing conclusion on that. And as I mentioned last week, we were able to check that box. So then looking at the plans that we have in place for the future development and really our overall ambition for the company, the vision that we have looking out 10 years, those were some of my key thoughts moving in, and the team in place has really embraced that view. So
beyond sort of the conduct of the sort of phase 2 trial and going out to the capital markets to raise additional funds, is there anything else that we can expect from Tocagen this year?
Yeah, so one of the real big things that we're doing is our viral vector in the trial that we just completed is actually the virus is delivered via injection into a surgical site. In order to really realize the full opportunity here of building an immunotherapy product that can help a lot of different cancer types, we need to make the virus more accessible through an alternate delivery form. So intravenous delivery of the viral vector is something that's important to us, and we've started a trial, the TOCA-6 trial, across a range of solid tumors that is really part of that. Would be the first step in developing a proof of concept so that we can put together a regulatory program so that we can help those patients as well. So that's another big part of our development process.
Right. Well, thanks very much for stopping by.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.